Hello, today we'll be talking about combating teen suicide and depression, identifying the obstacles teens face in seeking help, and finding solutions. The rate of teen suicides in the United States is steadily increasing at an alarming rate. Campbell writes, not surprisingly, an important strategy in preventing suicide has been the provision of treatment to at-risk youth with mental disorders, particularly depression. Teens should be focusing on having fun and planning for the future, yet far too many see nothing but hopelessness and pain that hovers like an ominous dark cloud. With mental health at the forefront of national discussions, obstacles that teenagers face seeking professional help must be identified and plans to overcome them must be put into effect. According to the CDC, in 2014 in the United States, 17% of teens had seriously considered suicide, 13.6% had made a suicide plan, and 8% had made an actual suicide attempt. In 2015, among 15 and 19-year-olds, there were 2,061 total suicides. And as you can see here, among females, this is the highest it has been in over 40 years. These are not just statistics. Jacob, Anna, Rachel, Jack, Connor, Alex, Carlos, Lucas, Alicia, Riley. These are our children. The obstacles teens face in seeking help. Perceived lack of confidentiality. Teens are afraid that whatever they say is just going to get relayed right back to their parents. Which brings up the next issue, the lack of parental support. Teens feel like their parents aren't going to take their problems seriously. And just asking for help is a big deal for teenagers. Contradicts the need for independence. Teens are at a stage developmentally where they struggle for autonomy and be able to handle things on their own. Teens are afraid of being undertreated or overtreated. Again, they feel like they're not going to be taken seriously, or conversely, the flip side of that is that they'll be taken too seriously. They're afraid of things like being put into a mental institution or something like that. Fear of being stigmatized. Teens just want to fit in, and being different it's very frightening to them. They're afraid that having a mental illness will mean that they're going to be treated differently. Teens are often afraid that they can't adhere to proposed treatment. They're often afraid of medications. Again, the need for autonomy is something that's difficult for teens to feel like they need to be on a medication, that they can't handle things on their own. Teens often minimize their symptoms. They feel like what they're going through is normal, even when it is not. Additional obstacles. Some other obstacles that teens face is a lack of parental support. Parents often are afraid of stigmatization, just like the teens are. Only a fear that if they take their teens for treatment, that they'll be perceived as bad parents. They're also afraid that their child's having a diagnosis is going to harm them, and the diagnosis is going to follow them for the rest of their lives. Many times parents don't feel like treatment is necessary, and parents are also afraid that the cost is going to be too high, so they don't even take them for treatment at all. Another obstacle is not having enough mental health providers. This was a staggering statistics that I found out. The Health Resources and Services Administration has said that 4/5 of U.S. counties have partial or whole mental health shortage areas. Solutions. Combating confidentiality concerns. Minors should be informed about how much confidentiality that they can expect. This puts them at ease, feeling like every little thing that they say is not going to get relayed back to their parents. Combating the need for independence. Teens should be taught that independence doesn't mean that you can't ask for help. Rather, asking for help is a form of self-advocacy that shows a lot of maturity and strength and wisdom also. Combating the idea that serious symptoms are normal. Teens and parents should be informed what is normal and what is not normal. Not knowing the difference is just a lack of information, a lack of education. Combating a lack of parental support. Parents who refuse mental health treatment for their children should face medical and/or emotional neglect laws. A lot of states will allow minors to be treated to seek treatment without parental consent, and teens need to be made aware of what their state laws are. Combating the fear of stigmatization. Both parents and teens should be educated about mental illness and treatments. Just knowing about different mental illnesses combats the fear of the unknown and of stigmatization. Combating the fear of antidepressants or other medications. Teens and parents should always be advised of the sometimes greater risk of not utilizing prescription treatments when deciding whether to medicate or not. School intervention. There are a lot of programs that are being implemented across the country in our schools, and I'll give you an example of just 2 programs that are being implemented. The first is Typical or Troubled. Typical or Troubled is an evidence-based program that has been successfully improving student mental health through early recognition, intervention, and treatment. This is something that's being used to help parents and educators recognize what is normal and what is not normal teen behavior. Another program is called COPE, Creating Opportunity for Personal Empowerment. COPE teaches teens that how they think relates to how they feel and behave. Additionally, it also teaches them problem-solving methods to manage emotional issues and the development of effective communication skills. Both of these programs, you can easily find information about them online with a simple Google search. Church intervention. Colossians 3:13 tells us to be clothed with compassion. Galatians 6:2 commands us to carry each other's burdens. As with the schools, there are programs that are being implemented in churches everywhere that helps us to help our teens. One of these is the Mental Health and Faith Community Partnership. This provides an opportunity for psychiatrists and mental health community to learn from spiritual leaders, to whom people often turn to in times of mental distress. It's a partnership. It also allows the spiritual leaders to benefit from the psychiatric community as well. The Faith Communities Task Force. This is a great organization. It provides a lot of resources such as campaigns, webinars, and educational materials to prevent suicide. Again, this is something that can easily be found online and implemented in churches across the country. The church must take action. We can no longer sit idly by in the midst of mental health crisis. Rather, we have to come alongside our parents and the teenagers as a strategic force in recognizing when teens are in trouble, how to get them help, not just spiritually, but also psychologically, to get them the help that they and their families so desperately need. In conclusion, with suicide rates increasing at a staggering pace, we must be aware of the obstacles that our young people are facing in getting help with depression and preventing suicide. Our teens need hope, but all too often hope is elusive, something they can't see hiding behind a brick wall that stands in the way of the help that they so desperately need. Identifying what makes up that wall enables us to find ways to break the wall down one brick at a time. As a society, we need better education, we need better understanding, and we need better programs so that we can turn hopelessness into hopefulness. As a church, we need to be aware of the problems that face our teenagers. We must educate ourselves so that we are able to spot the teens that are in trouble. We must follow Jesus' example and by His power heal both the spiritual and the emotional needs of our youth and their families. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen, and may God bless you in all that you do.